Hi everyone, it's Adam with Milo's Restoration, and today I've got the ugly duckling from the thrift store that nobody seemed to have wanted because I picked it up for $30. I had some broken drawer slides here, so what I did was I just put some CA glue to hold them temporarily to make sure that they were in the correct place, tested them out, and then I sunk a screw with a washer into the back of the case of the drawer, which is okay in this case, but sometimes that can interfere with the functioning of it, but it didn't for this particular drawer style. Then I just used some simple green and 2 buckets of rinse water and clean the dresser off really well. So this is Bondo glazing and spot putty. It works a lot better than regular Bondo because you don't have to mix it, and filling hundreds of these little tiny nicks and stuff like that would be a lot of trouble with regular Bondo because you'd have to keep mixing it up. It quit, keep getting hard. Plus, this is a little bit easier to sand. So I just had a ton of those little tiny dents and nicks and stuff like that to fill. Took me a couple rounds of that and wood filler, but I got it done. And you'll see throughout the video, I also used white wood filler in between coats of paint and in between coats of Bondo. Then I filled the drawer holes because I wanted some new hardware. So I had to paint the interior with a roller because even if you can fit a spray gun in there, it's generally not a good idea because just getting all that overspray is just going to tear up your equipment really. And to me, I always try to avoid spraying in the inside of drawer cases. So this is me using the Craig jig to to drill out the new hardware holes. And you just have to be careful because you can't measure to the outside because there's no like indent for a 3 and 3/4 inch hardware, which is what I wanted. Just my usual drawer masking technique here. So after giving everything a sanding, I also gave it a wipe with a tack cloth, which is something that I'm probably going to start using more often now. And this is just BIN primer, spraying it out of the cap spray, trying to use 2 separate guns for oil and water-based products. In between coats, I just like to use the white water-based wood filler because it kind of blends in a little bit better than the spot putty does. So I'm using a 3/8 nap roller here, I believe, and I'm just painting the inside of that drawer cubby where I couldn't get with the sprayer. So if you ever want to know if your primer's dry or not, if you can see in this video, it's pretty easy to tell that it's ready because it's powdering up like that. If it's coming off in kind of sheets and like little rolls, then it's probably too wet. This wood filler was actually too wet that I sanded, but I just wanted to get it sanded and get it done. So I kind of just clogged up the sandpaper and had to throw it away at the end of the sanding session. So this is Sherwin Williams multi-surface acrylic and Swiss coffee. It's got some great properties. It's like the equivalent of their Benjamin Moore's Command product. It has a 10-foot dry fall, which is really interesting because if you're spraying around stuff, you're worried about overspray. If it hits something kind of, through drifting around or whatever, it'll actually be dry whenever it hits the surface. So you can just hose it off. You don't have to really worry about the liability from overspray. Obviously, you need to take all the necessary precautions that you would if you were using, any other kind of paint, and just make sure that you don't get any overspray on anything. But as a secondary safety policy, it's something that I like to use in my painting business a lot whenever I'm painting in areas that are, high traffic, a lot of congestion. It's a good little extra, kind of liability step to take. And it's a good product that I don't believe that Command has that same property. Just sanding in between coats with a 3M very fine pad, I believe. It's probably like 180, 220, something like that. And then onto the second coat. Ended up having to do a third coat because I painted it in the sun and the top hardened, dried too fast, and it had a rough texture to it. So always paint in the evenings or before the sun's up in the morning if you're in a hot area. So they had these little stop plates, and I had to cut some, but I didn't have a zero clearance plate for my table saw or for my miter saw. So I started the cut, finished it with a hand saw, and then glued them in the correct position. So just installing the hardware, some things that I'll probably do off camera. I think I'm going to do one more coat on the very top of the dresser because of the fact that it hardened a little bit too fast and it's got kind of a rough and gritty feel to it. The rest of the dresser feels fine though. There's a little spot in there also from some water damage that I kind of want to clean up. Other than that, I'm pretty happy with it, and I think I saved it from the trash. So, probably be a good piece for somebody to have in their home, and hopefully I can get it sold quickly. Thanks for watching.